where do I even begin? How on earth do I summarise and review the Champions League final 2018 as Real Madrid faced Liverpool? Jesus Christ. I mean, that was mental. That was an absolutely mental final, and the fact that I've now got the task of trying to review and summarise this game, I don't know. I really don't know, so I'm going to try and be as logical as possible, be as honest as possible, and give you guys my thoughts and feelings to the Champions League final, which has seen Real Madrid win the Champions League final for the third consecutive season in a row, beating Liverpool in the process by 3-1. Now, what I will say, first and foremost, is that I want to congratulate Real Madrid, okay? You know, what I'm about to say in this video, I'm not taking anything away from Real Madrid. You know, to win the Champions League in itself is just, it's not an easy thing. It's the hardest competition to win. And the fact that not only Real Madrid have won it tonight, but the fact that they've won it for the last 3 years on the bounce is a, you know, just absolutely, you know, crazy achievement. And you can't take anything away from them. They played very, very well tonight. But, you know, you just have to congratulate them, and I want to congratulate them personally. However, I will say that despite the fact of Real Madrid playing well, I do feel that they were very fortunate to win tonight, and win by that margin, you know, shall I say. I don't think it was a final that saw Real Madrid, you know, beating Liverpool by 3-1. That game was not a 3-1 win to Real Madrid game. You know, 2 individual moments of madness, 1 absolutely spectacular goal, despite the fact of Liverpool already having problems that were out of their control. You know, it was just one of those games that just didn't go Liverpool's way, and just overall, you know, they shouldn't have lost 3-1 in my opinion. You know, I think Liverpool played superbly well, excellently well. You know, they were absolutely stupendous in parts of that game. You know, and when you look at the kind of the Liverpool side, and when you look at that, like, not a single Liverpool player had been in the Champions League final. You know, to have the task of trying to stop a Real Madrid side who've won it for the last 2 years on the bounce. The fact of that they've got, you know, Benzema, Bale, Ronaldo. The fact that Real Madrid have got so much, you know, final experience and know how to handle all the kind of thoughts and feelings and fears that you have going into a Champions League final. The fact that Liverpool were so inexperienced. On one hand, you've got to give Liverpool serious praise for the ways they handled tonight. But also, it kind of, I think it also ultimately in the early stages helped Liverpool, because the fact they've got this experience, they didn't have an overwhelming fear, and in the early stages Real Madrid looked very, very shaky, okay? It was a final that was predicted to have bundles of goals, bundles of drama, bundles of moments, and it certainly lived up to that expectation, but only in the second half rather than the first half. And kind of my prediction to it, and again, you know, not only did I, you know, make the prediction that I said that Liverpool, whoever was going to win out of Liverpool Manchester City would go on to the final, which in the case it was that Liverpool beat Manchester City and they went on to go into the final. But I also kind of made the prediction, I don't think I tweeted this or said this in the video, I really wanted Liverpool to win from an English point of view. Even though I'm an Arsenal fan, you know, any time an English side gets to a final in Europe, you know, in European football, I always are backing them 100%, and I've got a lot of respect for Liverpool. I think they're a great club, you know, their history, the pedigree, the way that they go about their business and the way that they play football, not only this season but generally they play very, very exciting, attractive football, and they're a very, very respectful club. So, you know, I was backing them all the way tonight. But in my heart of heart, even though I really wanted Liverpool to win, I was thinking, and, you know, I was saying to my dad when we were watching the game tonight, that I've got a feeling that Real Madrid will win. You know, and I just had that feeling that the experience that Real Madrid have got, combined with the fact that they've got Cristiano Ronaldo, Gareth Bale, 2 of the world's best players, it just kind of, I thought that it's going to be a very, very tough night. Ultimately, I said that it would finish 3-2. But when you look at the game, it really should have finished 1-1, and I shouldn't really be recording right now. I should be still watching the game, because it really should have gone to extra time, really. So let's start at the beginning, okay? Let's start this match review at the beginning. That's just my overall kind of basic and initial thoughts regarding the Champions League final. But the game kind of panned out the first half. It was a very, very cagey affair. And even though it was a cagey affair, Liverpool were creating chances, but they weren't creating clear-cut chances. Neither were Real Madrid. And Real Madrid were very shaky in the first kind of 45 minutes. You know, Ronaldo got down and got into space on numerous occasions, but he didn't really have that clear, killer ball, killer pass, or found that moment where Real Madrid forward would get into space and kind of, release the target and, create a clear-cut chance. It was more kind of pop shots, half-hearted chances. The same goes for Liverpool, really. In the first kind of 10-15 minutes, the intensity and pressure and pressing that Liverpool did was absolutely excellent, and they almost got a chance to score inside the first 26 minutes. When they had kind of Firmino, Mane and Salah up front, they had so much pace that they could break very, very quickly. And unfortunately, and it's such a shame, Mo Salah went off injured inside 20 minutes. His shoulder, and he kind of was, he got tangled up with Sergio Ramos, and he went down, but all of his body weight landed on his shoulder. And initially, it looked like that he had dislocated his shoulder. He then got up, went off the field, was briefly treated by the Liverpool medical team, went back on, and then realised that he couldn't carry on. And it's such a sad sight to behold, particularly for a Liverpool fan, because Mo Salah has been the difference this year. Mo Salah has been that kind of player that is just, he can fuck teams up, and he shoves his thing into people's shit shoes. He's so, and again, where did that reference come from? But honestly, he absolutely, just, fucks people in ways that they didn't even know they could get fucked. And, the fact that he scored 42, 43 goals, he can win you a game on his own this season. And, he was, reaching Messi, Ronaldo, levels this season. So it was a real shame that he got, taken off injured. Obviously, Adam Lallana came on, and the problem that Liverpool were facing once Mohamed Salah came off is that when they had Salah, Firmino and Mane, they had so much pace that they could break very, very quickly, because Real Madrid throughout the whole 90 minutes dominated the ball, but in the first half Liverpool were creating more chances. So when they were going on the break, Liverpool looked more promising and more deadly going forward. But the problem with what they had is that Lallana kind of was playing back, and it was almost like having Firmino and Mane up top with Lallana in behind. But Mane was, tracking back and defending, as was Roberto Firmino. So it caused Liverpool great difficulty in creating clear-cut chances. And that became much more evident towards the end of the first half and going into the second half. But it was a very, very cagey game. It was perfectly poised. I thought Liverpool started the game very, very well. Real Madrid kind of came into it, created a couple of chances. But certainly, I wouldn't say Real Madrid were the better side in that first half. And, I would say that Liverpool created more of the chances, Real Madrid had more of the ball. But in the end, it was kind of an even Stevens first half. And I was sitting there, I was having some food, having some beers, and I went to my dad that something's going to happen in this Champions League final. There's going to be a moment, and I'm not lying, I'm being 100% honest. Something's going to happen in this Champions League final that is going to send the Champions League final into a frenzy. There's going to be a moment, an event that's going to happen during the second half that is going to change the complexion of the game completely. And in the second half, it was one of those second halves where, have my eyes just registered what has just happened. We only had to wait 5 minutes. Again, Real Madrid started much more promising in the second half, created more chances. And then we had the first, howling moment from Loris Karius, who has always been a very questionable goalkeeper. I don't say and necessarily think that he's a particularly bad goalkeeper, but definitely he has his moments where, it comes with inexperience, and he just has those mad, crazy moments. And he catches the ball for a goal kick, and rather than kicking it out, he was going to throw it out, but then Benzema caught it and slotted it into the back of the net to give Real Madrid the lead. Now, my first response, my first initial thought looking at that, I was saying, he's offside. He surely is offside, because the chance that Real Madrid had moments before the Karius did the goal kick that led to Real Madrid opening up the Champions League final, Benzema was onside, so that was fine. But when Benzema retrieved the ball off of Karius, there was two kind of moments. Well, one that they were saying, that BT was saying, in the game, that whether or not it was a foul. But I was thinking he was offside. The Liverpool back four, Benzema was over them. He was on his own. He was not marked by anyone. He wasn't in line with anyone. So surely he's offside. Or when you've got a goal kick, does the offside rule become irrelevant? And that's what I couldn't understand. Surely, if it wasn't a foul, he was offside. And that was what's getting me really confusing. They didn't bring it up once, so I'm guessing that the offside rule was just irrelevant at that stage. But it was an absolute howler, you know, just kick that out. And if Loris Karius kicked it out and it fell back to Benzema, it would have been given as a foul. But then on the other occasion and the other instance, I did feel for him because it was just an unfortunate, you know, position. And you get that in football. We're only human. We can make human errors from time to time. And it was a human error. It was just one of those moments where you couldn't really, you know, it can happen to the best of goalkeepers. You couldn't really put too much of the blame, other than Loris Karius should have just kicked it out rather than throwing it. But other than that, you know, I've seen loads of goalkeepers. Everyone nowadays is part of the modern, you know, era of football. Everybody, throws the ball out. You know, rather than kicking the ball out, you know, in terms of goal kicks, they throw it out. So, you know, I understood why he did that, and I wasn't being too hostile towards Loris Karius for the first goal. Benzema got it, obviously, you know, ahead of Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale started on the bench, Benzema going forward. And Benzema's a very, very underrated player. You know, Karim Benzema's the sort of player which many people don't think he's very, very good, and I'm kind of in the minority. I do think he's a very, very good striker. I think he's a very underrated striker, and I think in the big, big moments, you know, he will turn up and can change the game. And the fact that Real Madrid, if they started Bale and Ronaldo, you've kind of got two kind of false nines, because Ronaldo isn't a sole striker. He can play on the left, Bale can play on the right, even though both of them can play, you know, as a striker. Benzema is, you know, his sole position is a striker. So it only made sense, really, that he was going to start, you know, ahead of Bale and bring on Bale in kind of the last kind of, you know, half an hour, 25 minutes, and that's exactly what Zidane did. It only took 4 minutes, and I thought, you know, it's only 1-0. Liverpool are playing well, you know, that they're making and creating some promising chances. And 4 minutes later, from a corner, Sadio Mane equalises for Liverpool. Absolutely brilliant, you know, swung in from the corner, and then Mane controls it, chests it down, it goes past Karius into the back of the net, and Liverpool equalise. And, you know, again, perfectly poised. You know, Karius is probably, you know, he put his hands up, you know, to the sky and kind of, you know, thanking the Lord. And I think he was saying, you know, thank fuck, because the worst feeling is losing a Champions League final knowing that you're, you know, solely to blame, which, unfortunately for Karius, is what transpired later on. But at that point, you know, he felt he could have some kind of salvation, really. And then, oh, I mean, just 9 minutes later, I've seen the greatest goal I've seen this season, you know, and obviously in the semi-final we had Cristiano Ronaldo's overhead kick against Juventus, which many people said was the greatest goal they've seen in the Champions League. No. Gareth Bale's goal to put Real Madrid ahead, to make the game 2-1 to Real Madrid, was absolutely just a stupendous moment. Again, has my eyes just seen this? Have I got this right? You know, a ball is crossed in, right? And Bale, crazily, like, to do that in a Champions League final, to do an overhead kick, is absolutely crazy. Like, you know, what? How dare Gareth Bale think that he's even got a chance of doing that? Because if you get that wrong, not only would you look like a knob on any normal given day, but to do that in a Champions League final, and if you fuck that up, you can become like a laughing stock. But it was an absolutely sensational goal, and, you know, it was honestly one of the best goals I've ever seen in my life, and it was absolutely superb. You know, and what made the overhead kick better is it went right into the top corner. It slammed into the top corner, and it was point perfection. You know, the cross, the technique, the way that Bale kind of got it onto his right foot, hit it back. You know, no goalkeeper in the world is going to save anything like that whatsoever. You know, and it was just an absolutely superb goal. And this was just a couple of minutes after Gareth Bale went on. And it was just absolutely, you know, it was stunning. It was the most stunning goal you've ever seen. Because sometimes when players, you know, try to perform acrobatics or do kind of, you know, the scorpion kick from Olivier Giroud, or, you know, overhead kicks or bicycle kicks, they sometimes may not look as good if they go to, like, the left-hand side, the right-hand side. But it went right into the top corner, and in real time, it looked stunning. Like, you know, I was off my fucking tits when I saw that goal go in. But in the replays, you know, it doesn't always look as good. I mean, the first time you see it live, it's just like, oh my god, does that just happen? But, you know, when they slowed it down, the technique that Gareth Bale got on it was stunning. It was an absolutely stunning goal. But then, it kind of was one of those games where, you know, in the last kind of 25 minutes, Liverpool then were trying to chase it. They created a couple of decent chances here or there. And then, the final nail in the coffin, Gareth Bale again, you know, goes for a shot, and he's about 25, 35 yards out, and he goes for the shot, and he whacks it in, and Karius, I mean, like, I didn't hound or howl at him for the first mistake that he made, but his second mistake is ludicrous. And it is disgusting. It is devastating. It's a career ender, really. Gareth Bale goes for the shot. Again, about 25, 30 yards out. You know, or roughly, I'm not precise on that, but, you know, 25, 35 yards out. He's a long way out from goal. He goes for the shot, and Loris Karius can either catch it or parry it out. He parries it out, but he puts there's so much of a soft contact on that he parries it into the back of the net. And it is, goalkeepers have got to do better than that. You know, any goalkeeper in the world has got to do better than that. To do that in a Champions League final, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And it is one of those which, it could end your career as a goalkeeper. It really could end your career as a goalkeeper. It was just, you've got to be doing better than that. And just to softly parry it out, it was one of those moments where I was sitting there and thinking to myself, I can't believe what I've just seen. And that second half, the final kind of 40 minutes, was something that I've never seen, and I've seen some absolutely crazy games in my lifetime, and that was right up there. I mean, it was just from Karius' first mistake, which again, I had a lot of I could understand and had a lot of sympathy with his first kind of mistake. Gareth Bale's goal was absolutely wonderful. Mane's equaliser was a very, very nice and well taken goal. And then the final now, and once Bale scored that, once Karius' confidence had been completely put down the pedestal and been absolutely shot to pieces, Real Madrid just held on. They could have made it, they could have got many, many more goals. And in the end, it is undeserved. I think Liverpool could have taken Real Madrid to extra time. They played so well, but in the end, to win the Champions League, no one can say that you didn't deserve to win the Champions League, because even if you don't particularly deserve it on the night, you've done all the hard work getting to there. So in the end, Real Madrid worthy winners. On another night, had Mo Salah been fit, had Karius not made those mistakes, had another goalkeeper been in the sticks for Liverpool, it's all about the what ifs. If, when, why. You send yourself around the bend if you constantly were sitting there and saying and thinking to yourself, well, it could have been a lot different. It should have been a lot different. In the end, Real Madrid have got their hands on the Champions League for a third consecutive season. The European football this season, despite how amazing it's been, it has now been dominated by Spain once again. Real Madrid in the Champions League, Atletico Madrid in the Europa League. Again, it's very, very similar. Could have been so different, in terms of Arsenal against Atletico Madrid. We could have had two English sides, being at the forefront of European football. Should Arsenal have got to the Europa League final? Should the events of tonight not gone, the way that they did go? But in the end, you've got to give Liverpool praise. Alexander-Arnold was absolutely, terrific tonight. And, if Liverpool need to address a couple of key areas, goalkeeper, a better striker, because they didn't have, it's, again, not having Oxlade-Chamberlain, he wasn't fit, he was still injured. They need just another striker that they can call upon should, their key players not be on the field. They need a better goalkeeper, because I'm sorry, Karius, you can't do that. You simply can't do that. But the future is bright for Liverpool, and I think if they can stick with Jurgen Klopp, sooner or later, obviously losing the Europa League final 2 years ago, it will come a point that, sooner rather than later, he will get his hands on a trophy for Liverpool, and he's doing wonderful things for Liverpool. So, we start again, we go again next season, and hopefully next season, the Champions League, despite the fact that Arsenal won't be in it, neither will Chelsea, can somebody take Real Madrid off of the Champions of Europe trophy? I just said off of, I just repeat myself. But yeah, those are my thoughts and feelings to this Champions League final. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Did you feel that Real Madrid deserved to win that? Did you feel that Liverpool were undeserved in the way that they lost that game? What were your thoughts on Karius? Give me all of your thoughts and feelings down in the comment section below. Follow me on Twitter at DJBagpuss1998, and also check out my other great content as well. Doing a lot of football content, and also there's going to be a lot of World Cup content on my channel as well, so stay tuned. Please make sure to leave a like on the video if you've enjoyed the videos. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and as I said, follow me on all my social medias and check out my other content as well. Until next time, DJ Bagpuss signing out. Take care, and I shall see you all soon. Take care, and I shall see you all later.